This is MJ. Welcome to another Ridercast. This time I'm going to be talking about Kamen Rider Xaid, the Doctor Gamer Kamen Rider. So, anyway, on to the meta information. Kamen Rider Xaid aired from October 2nd, 2016 to August 27th, 2017. The first episode is entitled I'm a Kamen Rider, and it was written by Yuya Takahashi and directed by Shojiro Nakazawa. Oh dear. Wow. I was supposed to be going to the next episode, and I see now. Okay. The second episode is called Another Prodigy, with No Thank You. And it was also written by Takahashi, and Nakazawa was the director on it as well. So, the next thing I wanted to let you know is that the main theme is called Excite, or Ekisite, is how I would really say it. And it's a really fun opening. I really like it a lot. Performed by Daichi Miura. The lyrics are by Kanata Okajima and Daichi Miura. It was composed by, it says Carpenter, and Kanata Okajima, arranged by Carpenter, and then this UTA. I don't know what that means. Anyway, like I said before, the music is probably my weakest thing that I try to talk about on here, and I apologize for not being great at it. Moving on to the suit actor cast, something really interesting. Kamen Rider Xaid Level 2, it's the big pink guy, is played by Seiji Takawa, but and then I also want to tell you about who played Brave, because that matters in this another Rider cast. Brave was played by Watanabe Jun, Brave Level 2, but if I go down here and I look around a little bit more, the Level 1 suit actors are different. So Kamen Rider Brave Level 1 is portrayed by Jiro Uchikawa, who I'm opening up a tab for right now, and Kamen Rider Xaid Level 1 is played by Satoshi Fujita, who I've talked about before. I don't remember what kind of roles he had, but he's been in Dano, Kiva, Decade, Kamen Rider G, Double, O's, Forze, so I mean, it sounds like he's a company man working with what are they called? Action something? AAA Action or something like that? Anyway, and then the Brave Level 1 suit actor, Jiro Uchikawa, it says, was a suit actor for the High Priest Darum in O's, Deno, All Riders, Let's Go, Kamen Riders. Okay. He later portrayed a member of a police bomb squad in episode 24, and the human form of Romude 068 in episode 37 of Kamen Rider Drive, as well as serving as suit actor for the Shoot Romude. He served as suit actor for the Book Ganma, Onpu Ganma, I don't know what Onpu is, and see, now I gotta look these up to see what they were. Onpu and Gazai Ganma in Kamen Rider Ghost. Suit actor roles, and then he plays other people in Xaid as well, but Onpu is the Mozart Ganma, or the music Ganma. I don't know what Onpu means though. What is this? Is this run by TV Nihon? And then Gazai is paint. Okay, that makes sense. Or, yeah, it's the paint Ganma. Anyway, it's kind of funny. By the way, I like TV Nihon. I was just kind of teasing there. But let me see. That's really all I have for the meta information. The premise of Kamen Rider Xaid is that about 5 years ago, there was an outbreak of something called the game illness, or a Bugster virus, where people get infected and I guess eventually disappear or die, and something comes out of them, and the Ministry of Health has partnered with a game developer. This is a really weird show, guys. In order to create weapons, a weapon system platform, if you will, that allows doctors to operate on patients by turning themselves into chibi-like video game characters and then defeating them and thus saving the patients. They have to separate the Bugster from the patient first, and then they can go to another level of combat and or advance to a second level and then beat the Bugster at that point. Like I said, really weird. Okay, so first off, in the cast, we have Emu Hojou, who is a pediatric intern, I guess you could say. He's not pediatric. He's a intern in pediatric medicine, I guess I should say. He also happens to be the master gamer M, which we don't really get much insight into what that means, except for the fact that he loves playing video games and he's very good at it. Next, we have Asuna, Kuro Asuna, I believe, who's really Poppy People Papu. She's like a video game person. She goes in and out of a console, but she is like a liaison between the Ministry of Health and this particular, I think it's Sato University Hospital, and over there they call her a navigator, which from my experience in the Persona games, the modern ones anyway, a navigator is somebody who guides through the people playing and gives them tips or key information that they need, and that's exactly how she functions. She functions as one of those, and this isn't derogatory at all, like very mechanical parts of a game where she kind of gives tutorial type information and background. And she even tells Emu at the end of the first episode what the premise is. Like, hey, you got to collect these 10 shots in order to, do this. And in collecting these 10 shots, you'll be defeating these, 10 Bugster that are out there causing problems. And kind of an interesting thing that they're doing with her, because she is a serious nurse, but on the other hand, she's this crazy, wild, like video game character stepping out of the console and into real life, and she's got the hot pink hair and the weird outfit and everything. It's all very interesting and designed, and she feels legitimately like a video game character come to life in how she's presented and stuff. But then it's neat because she has this very serious, very human side to her as well. Kagami Hiro is Kamen Rider Brave. Becomes Kamen Rider Brave. He's a gifted but cold and distant surgeon, and he, for whatever reason, is not only a surgeon, but he's able to operate the it's not X-Aid platform, whatever their Kamen Rider belt is called in this series, because I don't remember that they said it, but it's a belt in a shot, which is the cartridge thingy that they load into it. Anyway, he can operate that, but he's like cold, distant, aloof. He says he refuses to attach himself to the patients, and he just looks at curing the disease as just excising what is, the thing that is the issue. And he has this saying, there's nothing I cannot cut. And that's all he's focused on, is just cutting out, removing the thing. And he and Emu have a clash, because Emu is like, well, if the patient's not smiling afterward, then what's the point? You didn't really do your job. And like, you're not a doctor, and I can't trust these people to you. Hiro's dad is the guy running the hospital. He also is involved with the CR, which is the I can't remember, cyber rescue group, and they're the ones who deal with the Bugster cases. The way he's played for comedy is very strange. I didn't capture one of his goofy faces, but I have an image of him looking very serious, and he goes from being deadly serious to being very silly, and I don't understand why he's played like that. I could see him, especially the way that he's directed, the actor's directed, it's almost as if he's two different people or has a split personality, or I don't want to say schizophrenic, because that's, it's not cool to just throw that around, but he feels like that's how he was set up to be, and that doesn't make a lot of sense. He's in a mentor-ish position, but I don't think he'll become a mentor character, just unless there's a big change in how he's presented and how he's utilized in the show. So I don't know that I'm going to hold my breath waiting for that. Next is somebody who we didn't get a lot of time with. It's Dr. Hanaya, who apparently is a former doctor. It's really weird. At the end of the second episode, he throws a bunch of cash at the Genom Corporation, the video game corporation president who built the belt and Gashot system, and looks like he it's going to involve himself in saving patients or whatever, and I don't know, he's like creeping in the background, he's spying on people, and we don't really get much else, except he seems like he's trying too hard. I don't even know that I want to call this guy a character yet. Mr. Hawaii Five-0 in his red leather jacket and glasses. He is sneaking, or he's not sneaking around, he's just in the background of the show, observing things, watching what's going on, and he keeps making mysterious, vague statements about how, like, everyone's getting ready to rev their engines or start up or whatever. I know he becomes a bike later, so that's kind of why I'm leaning into that side of him. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say about him. The game company president, I don't. Dan Kuroto is his name. I don't really have much to say about him. It'll be interesting to see how he develops. He feels like something's going to happen, but it's not. I couldn't say what at this point. So anyway, so I don't quite know how to quantify the differences between, in a very succinct way, Poppy, Hero, and Emu, but I really do like the dynamic between the three of them. Poppy seems like she's here to guide the doctors through the game. I don't want to imagine what her interactions with Hero have been like in the past, because he seems like a real jerk and like he'd be rude to her. Whereas Emu is very earnest, very naive, very nice. Not saying he's a nice guy, but I am saying that he takes people's feelings into consideration, as well as their health, and beyond that, he seems like a person who's very respectful of others, and potentially demurs to them out of a lack of confidence, or it might just be downright respect. But Hero seems to not feel any of that. He seems a little disrespectful towards his father when he comes in from off the plane. He comes into the CR, and he's kind of a jerk to him, and he refuses to, I don't know, treat Poppy in the way I think she would like to be. He calls her Poppy instead of Asuna when she's not in her Poppy form, when she's in her civilian form, so to speak, and that's not cool. But I'm pretty sure, being that this is Kamen Rider, it's made for children, that you're not supposed to like Hero at this point. But his competency, or his competence, is undeniable, but that doesn't mean he's a good person. And I kind of like the shades of gray that they're examining with this show. Like, it's very obvious that the two of them, Emu and Kagami, or Hero, have very different perspectives and outlooks on life, and it'll be interesting to see them pursue, because they're doctors, right? They're doctors, and one day Emu will be a full-fledged doctor, potentially. What if he's a pediatric surgeon or whatever, because Hero's a surgeon. They can both still heal people and help them be better, even if Hero has terrible bedside manner and Emu's a really compassionate, very nice doctor who people enjoy the company of and enjoy being with. I'm stumbling here. So it's interesting because, while people are not machines, if something's wrong, you can just fix it sometimes. And Emu wants to take a more holistic approach to things. And it's interesting that there's that conflict, because either of them can say, no, you're doing it wrong, you have to do it my way or else it doesn't count. And they can both easily hold those viewpoints without really there being so much strong evidence for them to use against the other to prove definitively that they're right. And I think it's an interesting dynamic. So we've only really met two Bugsters so far. They're Pallid and Graphite. We get to see Pallid's human form. We don't get to see his Bugster form, but we do not see Graphite's human form. We're only presented with his monster form, or Bugster form, I guess you could call it. And I don't really have much to say about them. Graphite seems like he's itching to get to work, and Pallid talks about how life is a puzzle, and he seems to want to take things more slowly, like a puzzle game specifically, and he wants to take things more slowly. And I like that they seem tight, but they have different perspectives, kind of mirroring Emu and Hero. So I want to move into talking about the design. All the designs are based off of video games, because these are video game characters come to life, basically, that are turning into the villains of the show. And I'm pretty sure, they are all game characters, so they have game type characteristics. And Pallid, I think, seems a little repetitive, almost like an NPC or something, in the way that he just kind of repeats himself. But I want to be talking about the visual design right now. So the Bugster in their base form have these really gross looking, they're supposed to look like overgrown germs, and then they get kind of articulated, and It's taking like the basics of game design, like, oh yeah, we have like brown blobs is what they're made of. They're made of spheres because these spheres, these brown blobs, can be assembled into different, just like pixels. They can be assembled into different structures in order to create these different things. So one of them looks kind of like a golem. The second one that Brave fights looks like a virus, or how we what we think viruses look like inside the body, and that's kind of interesting. The way that the mechanics of how they work, by like being inside of a host and then causing them to be stressed out, is kind of interesting. But like, I feel like that's kind of an ugly stage you want to push through or rush through in order to get to the really cool designs of the like advanced bugsters, so to speak. And I like the uniformity. They have these mooks that like their outfits will change depending on what the character is like, but they have different weapons, and they will have they have the same head, but then they just wear different clothes and have different weapons that they can use against, or I don't know why they would have mooks necessarily, but I guess because it's a video game, and they sure do. The two different bugsters that we see have basically the same type of mooks, but I think their designs look different. They look very different, and they're supposed to be like bosses, from each game that the riders are fighting. And yeah, it's weird. So these bosses, before they're separated from the person, or to be separated from the person, the rider has to be in their level 1 form, and it's this chunky thing. It's supposed to look like this Mighty Action X game character, which if the game guy developed that character and then he developed the system, I guess it makes sense that they look consistent. But anyway, it's kind of weird. I almost wonder if Graphite's human form or alternate form turns into that Dark Xaid, because he's got that thing on him that shoots out the virus and stuff, and that guy has that too. He uses it as a weapon against the riders, and we see Graphite using that same thing, shooting out virus earlier, and I think maybe even the Pallid guy does it in the opening. But anyway, the level 1 design of the characters it's really crazy. It does look very much like a video game character, and I like that they showed the Mighty X, or I guess the character is just called Mighty, from the Action X games. Is that what they're called? I don't know. Anyway, we got to see him in a video game. We saw a plushie of him. We saw all these different things, and it's really fun because this character feels like a combination of like Sonic and Mario with maybe a little Kirby mixed in, and we get to see that in the level 0 or the level 1 designs, and then in the fact that there's like items and the riders jump around when they're in that form and they do like ridiculous stuff, but it does feel very much like a video game, and the chunkiness and squatness of it works, because like in Mario, before you get a mushroom, you're just that little thing, and then you grow big and get more definition to you and stuff. And I don't know, I really like how they brought in the aesthetic of a video game. They've got like hit markers, not counters, but when they get hits, that it'll say hit and things like that. And they've got this, they have this stage select thing, and they select their character or the avatar or whatever, and then they turn into that particular rider. I wonder what would happen if they picked one of the other ones, but I'm sure that sort of thing wouldn't happen. And then there's like on-screen text, like hit, level up, finisher, stuff like that, and it has like pixelation on it, which is pretty fun. And we get to see like when they go to level 2, they can advance their weapons. So like Emu or Xaid starts off with a hammer, but the hammer turns into a sword, because it has this blade that flips out of it. And all the on-screen graphics are really interesting. Like it looks very much like 90s video game kind of aesthetic. I think it's pretty cool. I like Xaid being pink in his level 2 form. I think it looks good, and I think it's a fun extrapolation from level 1 to level 2. Something that made me really uncomfortable was when Hero first shows up and transforms. He has these women with him, these nurses probably, and they like, one of them like squats or kneels down and like puts the belt on him for him, and the other one hands him his shot as if he's in surgery, like he's got his hands. It's just really weird. It felt like anyway, I didn't like it. It was a bad look, so to speak. But let me see. Something I forgot to mention, when they're transforming, the game screen, like the start menu or whatever from the game screen of whatever game the particular rider is using, will pop up behind him, and as they do that, different elements from the games come into the overworld, so to speak. It's a really weird, it's almost like, what do they call it, AR? augmented reality, like, but meshing with the real world. I like Brave's design better than Ex-Aid's. Not because I don't like the pink, but just because I like the knights and I like the grill or the helmet mesh kind of thing that he's got going on. And a really cool detail about him is in level 1, he's got a shield, and it's big, it's oversized, it's enough to block off stuff. And then when he goes to level 2, he still has that shield, but it's embedded into his left arm as like an extra piece of armor, and it's cool because he doesn't have that on the right side. It's just on his left forearm, and it's a neat way they like transformed the level 1 design into level 2, and then he keeps like their eyes and their helmet type of details like stay the same, but it looks like he's just grown, like I said, from Mario, like in Mario, from the squat guy into the big guy, who has kind of different power set or whatever, can take more damage and whatnot. And I don't really have much else to say about Brave's design or Ex-Aid's design. I think they're crazy, but they're kind of cool. And one thing I really enjoyed was that while he was fighting the wizard guy, like a sword and a stone appeared, and he brought that out, and it was all rust covered and stuff. And then when he used it, it turned into a crazy Bandai designed toy sword, and it's cool, kind of cool. It has flames on one side and then ice on the other side, and they have these an A button and a B button on their weapons, which it looks dumb, but it's kind of neat. But they can hit those, and he switches it from fire to ice, and I think if you tap it multiple times, like a game controller, it does different things. So like I think that's how they start their finishers. Kind of interesting. That purple thing that shoots out the virus and stuff, it also has a console type look to it, and it has A-B buttons on it like their weapons. So it looks like all these designs are coming from the same person. We saw at the end of episode 2 that the Ganem president guy was selling a gashot and a belt to Taiga or Hanaya. So I don't know if the Dark Ex-Aid is somebody else who he sold the stuff to. So maybe he's a mercenary type, entrepreneur guy. Could be the case. But anyway, I'm guessing all the design in the show, it reflects his aesthetic because it's all designed after characters that his company makes. And that's kind of interesting. So my overall thoughts on Kamen Rider Ex-Aid episodes 1 and 2, it's weird. It's weird, but it has a lot of heart, and I think I get where it's going with setting up these characters. And gosh, originally when I watched it before, I thought I was going to watch the first and second episodes and quit, ongoing, Kamen Rider that year, because the designs were so outlandish and wacky. But I think I get it. And I think they sold everything well enough, and it was cool enough that it made sense. Like all the bits where Ex-Aid level 1 was like platforming, where he's jumping off of blocks and using his hammer and getting coins out, and then in the second episode where he like opens up a chest and pulls something out of there, like that's all really cool, fun stuff. I sort of grew up playing video games, so not like an avid gamer or anything like that, but like it's familiar to me and it's fun, and I could see it working, selling kids on it, but also like it worked on me. Like it looked fun, and it seemed like a really cool way to contextualize the action, and the way that they casted it, it's like this AR type thing. And because the game, because video game villains or bosses are coming out into the real world, how do you fight a video game? You fight it with a video game, a real life video game, and it worked, and I think the character dynamics are really interesting, really strong. I kind of expounded on that already, so I won't belabor it. And I don't like everybody, but I like everybody well enough, and I like where it's going, and I'm glad Emu is the protagonist, and I feel like as long as I stick with this guy and his viewpoint doesn't get set aside too much, if he's struggling to prove his point and to prove that his holistic approach is better, it's definitely a show I'll enjoy. But like besides that, the action was really enjoyable, a lot of fun, just like so frenetic, but really cool. And I really liked it overall. So those are my overall thoughts. I want to know what you think, what you say. if you were watching the video version, you got to see all the visual elements, but I loaded, I don't know, like 16 or so images onto the blog at mjmunoz.com. You can just go to mjmunoz.com and type in ARC, another Rider cast, or X8. You'll be able to find it either way. Shouldn't be, too difficult, and you can look at all the images there. I want to know, like, what you think of the visuals of this show. That's why I bring that up, because it was very divisive. Lots of people thought it looked so stupid and that they were, almost like with the Gaim thing, but I think Gaim broke everybody so much in the Toku fandom back at the time that, like, they were kind of prepared for anything going forward. And, there was a lot of wait and see was the approach I heard going on online. Because, like I said, the visual design, it's crazy. Anyway, but, what did you think of the designs overall? Do you think does it work for you? Does it not work for you? I'd be curious to know. Who, and again, we can go into full spoilers here if you want, because I have seen the whole show. Who's your favorite character? Who's your least favorite character? Why? And, gosh, I really don't know what else to ask about the show. So I guess I'll go ahead and end it there. And I want to suggest to you that the MJ Loves Toku show that I have here as well. I have it as a video series over on Recypher, and I have it as an audio only as well. It's on iTunes, it's on Google Play, it's different places, and you can find that link to mjmunoz.com. If you type in Tokusatsu, I'm sure it'll pop up pretty quickly, but you can check that out. And someday when the Netflix Ultraman Season 2 comes out, I'll also be covering that. Anyway, I don't have anything else to say, so that brings us to the end of another Rider Cast episode. I think it's 18. I hope it's 18. Kamen Rider X8. mjmunoz.com is home for all my work. Podcasts and reviews of anime, tokusatsu, Star Wars, and more. Plus my original writings. If you didn't enjoy this, critique me. If you did, leave me a comment. If you really like this, consider tipping me at coffee.com/mjmunoz. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Until next time, be well.